My parents ignored me my entire life for my sister, so I asked my grandparents to walk me down the aisle. They retaliated by telling everyone not to come to my wedding. I'd spent my whole life feeling like an afterthought, a shadow to my golden child sister. But when my parents tried to sabotage my wedding, they pushed me past my breaking point, and I unleashed a truth bomb that didn't just expose them. It spectacularly imploded their entire world. Growing up, my parents made it clear I, at 27, was never their priority. Everything revolved around my older sister. It hurt, deeply, but eventually, I made a kind of peace with it. My true parents, my paternal grandparents, were my sanctuary. They saw me, they loved me, and they even tried, bless their hearts, to get my actual parents to pay attention to me. It was pointless, but they tried. After a while, I just got used to being ignored. No matter what I achieved, no matter what I wanted, they did the bare minimum and expected me to be grateful. The real gut punch came after high school. I actually expected them to help me with college, but they flat out refused. Their excuse? They'd already poured money into my sister's education, and apparently, spending that kind of cash on me would burn a hole in their pockets. They offered to co-sign a student loan, but I laughed, or probably cried, and told them no. My amazing grandparents stepped up, of course, and paid for everything. That solidified it. From then on, it was my parents and sister on one side, and my grandparents and me on the other. For years, we've barely been in touch. We occasionally cross paths at holidays or family events, but it's always strained. We're not close, not by a long shot. So, when I got engaged, there was only one choice for who would walk me down the aisle: my incredible grandparents. I asked them months ago, and my wedding is now just 3 weeks away. I did invite my parents and sister, mostly out of obligation. I didn't want to seem petty, and honestly, I knew if they weren't invited, they'd throw a huge fit. I just wanted a drama-free wedding. But that, apparently, wasn't enough. A couple of days ago, my phone rang. It was them. And then came the audacity. "So, when are you going to ask us to walk you down the aisle?" I was utterly confused. Where did they even get that impression? They were invited as guests, nothing more. I told them, flatly, that I'd already asked my grandparents. I wasn't asking them. I could already feel the tension building, braced for the inevitable explosion. And explode they did. They were furious. How dare I be so ungrateful after they raised me? I actually started laughing. "Raised me?" I said. "Most of my childhood was spent with Grandma and Grandpa. You were too busy with my sister to even notice I was around." I told them they were delusional to think I'd want them anywhere near such a significant part of my day, especially after everything. I told them they should count themselves lucky they were even invited at all. And then I hung up. I just couldn't drag it out. I thought that would be the end of it. Boy, was I wrong. They couldn't let it go. Instead, they launched a full-scale smear campaign, telling anyone who'd listen what a terrible, ungrateful daughter I was. My phone started blowing up with messages from family members, all forwarding screenshots. My parents were telling everyone not to attend my wedding, to support them instead, because I was ungrateful and needed to be put in my place. It was insulting on so many levels. First, they actually thought they could stop people from coming to my wedding. Talk about overestimating their importance. Everyone in the family knows how badly they treated me. I just kept quiet out of decency. And second, they truly believed they could shame me, a grown adult woman, with this childish bad-mouthing. It was so stupid. Initially, I swore I wouldn't respond. I wouldn't give them the satisfaction. But then, my fiancé got one of their messages. That was the line. They could involve family, but him? He knows everything about my family, about my history with them. But it was still mortifying. My blood ran cold. That was it. I snapped. I decided I was going to end this, once and for all. I'd been patient my entire life, ignored their crap for too long. No more. 2 days later, I unleashed it all. I put up a post on social media. It was a pretty well-known fact how they treated me, but I'd always kept our dirty laundry private. Not anymore. I detailed my entire childhood, how I was ignored, how my sister was the golden child, why my grandparents were walking me down the aisle. Everything I've just told you, and more. Then I laid out the recent events, their phone call, the vile messages they were sending to everyone. I explained that I'd kept my dignity by staying silent, but they'd mistaken my silence for weakness and dragged my fiancé into it. That, I declared, was something I would not tolerate. I just wanted to put it out there. My goal was to put them in their place, as they like to say. I never imagined it would cost them so much. Earlier today, my sister called. She's the only one I haven't blocked, mostly because I forgot. She kept calling, and I was about to block her when, on the last ring, curiosity got the better of me. I answered, and I'm so glad I did, because what she said next was unbelievable. She immediately launched into a hysterical rant, screaming that I was a horrible human being, that I'd ruined everyone's lives, and that I needed to fix what I'd done immediately. It took me a few minutes to even understand what she was talking about. Turns out, my dad was on the verge of landing a massive investor, someone who could take his company to the next level. This guy was a big deal in my dad's industry, and the deal was now falling through. Why? Because he saw my post. Apparently, his secretary is friends with one of my fiancé's cousins. My fiancé's cousin, gossiping as cousins do, mentioned my social media post to her friend, the secretary, and that's how it got back to the investor. I never knew about this deal. My parents don't share things like that with me, and I certainly never imagined my post would have such far-reaching consequences. But honestly, I think it was meant to happen, and I don't feel sorry. Not one bit. I told my sister, I'm not fixing anything. This is what they deserve. She tried to guilt-trip me, saying it would ruin everyone's lives, that this deal was huge for the family, and since she was next in line to inherit the company, it was bad for her. She wanted me to think about that. I told her, quite frankly, I didn't care. And then I hung up. So, am I the jerk for causing a business deal to fall through with a post exposing my toxic family? I don't think so. Update 1*K everyone. Seriously, thank you for all the supportive comments. It really helped solidify things for me. I've made up my mind. I don't need to feel sorry. All I did was speak my truth. It was about damn time. A lot of you asked why I even invited my parents in the first place, considering our terrible relationship. And you're right to ask. Honestly, I always felt this pressure to maintain a certain image for the rest of the family. Even though most people had a vague idea of how I was treated, I still felt like I had to protect appearances, to pretend everything was fine. I know. I'm a bit too conscious of what others think. So, even if people suspected, I never talked about it, never complained, always tried to keep things civil. But their actions around the wedding? That was the absolute last straw. Letting go of that anxiety, that fear of gossip, and finally speaking up for myself was incredibly hard, but I did it. It took me a while to do something so basic, but I'm actually proud of myself. I'm finally letting go of the need to please others and doing what's right for me. And honestly, their stupid behavior gave me the perfect push to tell everyone what I'd been through. It feels like a massive weight has been lifted. I can finally breathe. So, yeah, obviously they won't be at the wedding now. If they have any pride left, they'll stay away. And I doubt they even want to come now that I've likely cost them a huge business deal. I talked to my fiancé about his cousin and the whole gossip chain that led to my dad's investor seeing my post. He found it absolutely hilarious. We asked his cousin to keep us in the loop through her secretary friend about the business deal, and she's been great. Apparently, my parents are desperately trying to salvage it, but the investor is super reluctant. He had no idea their personal lives were such a mess, and that doesn't sit well with him. My family has even tried to claim I'm lying, but they can't. My post included screenshots of their hateful messages to other relatives. They can't gaslight their way out of this one. And even if they could, I don't think this investor would budge. He probably thinks there must be some truth to it. I really hope he doesn't change his mind. My parents, and even my sister, don't deserve this deal. I had a moment where I felt a flicker of guilt, but my fiancé, my grandparents, and my friends all told me the same thing. I have nothing to be sorry for. I stood up for myself, and I should be proud. So I am. I won't let myself feel guilty for not letting them walk all over me, especially not right before my wedding. I've blocked them, so they haven't been able to contact me. I just want them to stay away so I can enjoy this moment. Update 2*. It's been 2 weeks since my last update, and true to form, my parents and sister haven't been able to reach me since I blocked them. As I mentioned, the business deal fell through, and it hit them hard. I honestly kind of forgot about it all until this morning. I received a message from an unrecognized number. It was threatening, basically telling me I had to fix the damage I'd caused or I would pay for this. It wasn't hard to figure out who it was from. I blocked the number and tried to carry on with my day. But then, I came home, and there they were, my parents and sister, waiting for me outside my house. Thankfully, my fiancé wasn't home yet. He was still at work. I wouldn't have wanted him to see this go down. It was utterly embarrassing. They weren't there to talk. They were there to pick a fight, even though they'd already lost everything. I don't know what they were expecting. The second I saw them, I pulled out my phone and started dialing. I planned to threaten them with the cops, tell them to get out. I knew if we started talking, it would just devolve into a huge argument, and I simply didn't have the time or energy for it. But my sister got aggressive. She rushed at me, got right in my face, and snatched my phone. "You're not getting out of this one," she hissed. She demanded I fix my mistakes, insisting she wouldn't leave until I spoke to the investor and did something about the damage. She started lecturing me about all the hard work that went into the company and the deal, and how it was all wasted because of my pettiness. I cut her off right there. "It wasn't my pettiness," I shot back. "It was your parents who did this. They made their own bed by picking a fight with me for no reason. This is their fault, not mine. All I did was stand up for myself. I didn't start any of this." Of course, they immediately got defensive. They whined about how I should have dropped it, how they were only upset because I didn't ask them to walk me down the aisle, how it was unconventional and an insult to them. By then, I was beyond irritated. I told them, to their faces, that they had treated me terribly my entire life. I regretted absolutely nothing. They should be grateful I even invited them. I'd always been a second-class citizen in my own home, with my sister as their sole priority. So, no, I wasn't surprised, and no, I didn't owe them anything, not even an explanation. But I reminded them that they were the ones who dragged my fiancé into it. They were the ones who forced me to go public. They brought all of this on themselves. They couldn't pretend to be the victims. I didn't feel sorry for a single thing that had happened. Then, I snatched my phone back from my sister. I told all of them, loudly, that if they didn't leave right now, I would call the police. I already had the number dialed. I wasn't giving them a second chance. I was done, tired after work, exhausted from wedding prep. I just wanted them out of my life for good. They had already ruined so much of it. I wasn't letting them ruin anymore. I screamed that I never wanted to see or speak to them again. I was done. I guess my fury finally got through to them. They realized I wasn't the pushover they used to know. They eventually left. And thank God they did, because I would have called the cops. Things would have gotten much uglier. About an hour later, my fiancé came home, and I told him everything. He said I did exactly the right thing by threatening to call the cops. He would have encouraged me to call them regardless. He worried they might show up at the wedding, and I hate that thought. We've already arranged for security, but increasing it would be a huge hassle and expense. All we can do is hope for the best, and have security keep an eye out. They're not dangerous, just incredibly annoying. Still, their current desperation worries me. They are clearly upset enough to go to any lengths to get back at me. I'm terrified they'll try to ruin my wedding, turning it into another one of their dramas, just to make it all about themselves. It's truly exhausting. Every time I think about them, I just get so angry. Even after I've cut them out, they keep trying to claw their way back in and make my life hell. Honestly, I'm seriously considering a restraining order. That threatening message they sent today? Perfect proof. I don't want them anywhere near me, ever again. Legal action feels like the only way. But all that's for after the wedding. Right now, I just want my wedding to go smoothly. Fingers crossed, no more drama. Update 3*. So, about a week ago, my husband and I finally got hitched. And I can't believe I'm saying this. Everything went perfectly. There were no problems. My parents and sister didn't even try to show up. It was a completely pleasant surprise because, honestly, my husband and I both expected them to make a scene. That's why we had extra security and warned them about my family. But thankfully, they weren't needed. We've been so happy, just soaking in our honeymoon phase before we leave for our actual honeymoon in a couple of days. We've decided to put the restraining order on hold for now. There's no point in worrying about it while things are calm. But that doesn't mean they've given up. I knew they wouldn't. I figured they'd lay low for the wedding, then get back to bothering me. And that's exactly what happened. Today, I received an email, probably from my sister. It claimed my mother was very upset about everything and had resorted to day drinking, which is a huge deal, apparently, because my mom never drinks. It must be that bad. And my father? His existing heart problems have apparently gotten much worse. So, if for no other reason, as their daughter, I should at least consider their health and apologize. I don't even know what to say to that. I'm almost positive she's lying. The last time I saw them, When they showed up at my house, they weren't upset. They were just furious with me. I genuinely don't believe I'm so important to them that they'd start day drinking or have heart problems over me. It's almost certainly about the business deal falling through. And if that's the problem, there's nothing I can do about it. Again, they brought this on themselves. I don't understand why she keeps trying to make me feel guilty. An apology from me isn't going to fix anything for them. Update 4 asterisk. Hi everyone. It's been close to 2 months since my honeymoon. And a couple of weeks ago, my husband and I finally pulled the trigger. We filed for a restraining order against my family. Things were just getting way out of hand. For a while, they stuck to sending annoying emails and messages from random numbers. We just ignored them. Changing our contact info felt like too much hassle. But then, a few weeks back, something chilling happened. I was driving home from work and noticed a car following me. After some quick maneuvering and digging, I realized it was my sister's car. Soon enough, she started lurking near my workplace. It was incredibly creepy, and that old threatening text came rushing back to me. I told my husband. We spoke to a lawyer, and we decided to go for the restraining order. A couple of days ago, it finally came through. So, for the next 2 years, unless they want serious legal trouble, they cannot be anywhere near me or my husband. And I'm so incredibly grateful. This is something we should have done ages ago. I'm so happy I finally did it. I don't know if this will truly stop them. What they really want is an apology from me, which they're not getting. And that's why they're upset. But honestly, they can stay upset. It hardly matters to me anymore. I finally have my peace.